Hello everybody, this is Toys R Us and this is your complete Star Raiders capsule quick review. So hopefully you've already seen the individual reviews of all of these figures on here. If you haven't, then that's exactly what there is, with loads of comparisons, etc. on these as well. Now the biggest thing that I suppose I want to talk about with these is how much they've surprised me. Now, as I say, granted, and I openly admit everything, I didn't know too much about a lot of the characters in this particular capsule of figures. However, getting these in hand, and also the fact, of course, that they're just redecos with slight retools, getting them in hand, it's just been a joy, to be fair, because there's been so many things that have surprised me. I think, unfortunately, now this is my opinion. Of course, you guys, please do let me know yours as well. See if you sort of agree with me. I think the weakest was perhaps this, but only because the others were so good. I'm not saying it's a bad figure, because I don't think it's a bad figure at all. Because, funnily enough, I did really like the fact, and it completely surprised me, that you can store the weapons in the feet. That's a brilliant little addition. The detail on the doors was fantastic. And I think the only reason I'm being perhaps a little too nitpicky was because of the side panels sort of wouldn't really fit in properly, which, again, I'm being honest, you probably saw that in the video. Maybe it's mold degradation, I'm not too sure, because this has obviously had an abundance of uses. But I don't even perhaps want to use the term weakest, because I know that a lot of people will really like this. I love all the little, as I say, extra logos and details. But for me, it was not my favourite, shall we say. I think next would perhaps be Lockdown. The character Lockdown I only know, unfortunately, from in fact, not even a character, the figure I really know is from the Revenge of the Fallen. I've not seen animated, so again, I can't base too much of my judgment and opinion on something that I've not seen. I did like this. I was really pleased that they did add all the extra bits of green in, because obviously when we first saw the renders and the images of this particular figure, we all definitely agreed there's nowhere near enough green on there, but I'm glad they added it on. And I think the fact that, he was a Junkian original mold, and it does tend to work. That's why I did the transformation tutorials, though, because I think if you're new to this mold and you started transforming him and he fell apart, you'd be quite concerned, to be fair. And that I would say the same with both of these two here. Now, Road Pig, fantastic. Colour scheme on this is great. Massive G2 logo there on the inside. Again, pull it apart, old Junkian mould. But just something really, I suppose, quite striking with how good this looked, with the colour scheme, with the the translucent pipes and stuff on the back. This one, as I say, did really sort of surprise me, and I did, even though it does come apart, think this is a better decision of mould than the one that we had for Ariel and for what is it? Yeah, Elite, not Elite 1, RC, etc. from Transformers Prime. I did really like the decision of this particular use of that mold. This little guy here, I should have brought him out of the way first, to be fair. This one is the one I always genuinely feel sorry for the Hasbro designers when they've got to include something which is a tape or a cassette, or something that basically is completely defunct in nowadays technology. Most kids wouldn't even know what it is, and when you've got a set like this, it doesn't really do anything. You can't really do anything with it. I mean, maybe it would have been nice if it had, I'm talking rubbish because there is space there to put on the shoulder, but the fact that the alternate mode, to be honest, as you say, doesn't really do too much for the particular figure. So it's just a shame, but that's with all the tapes. As I say, the same with the Studio series. The new steel jaws obviously had quite a little bit of criticism, because of course, it's a tape, and what do you want to do with a tape? And I suppose that's all there is really to say on that. Surprised me the most, I'm going to come to this one in a minute, Thundertron. I like this figure. I did have the Transformers Prime one, but again, in my earlier collecting days, it's one of them times that I never took that particular figure out of the box. But this one, of course, is much lighter. I did like the legacy version of it. It's good. Transformation process is quite fun. Shoulder bit here is very clever indeed. I think I prefer this colour scheme, because I think the gold tends to reflect and shine off that little bit more. So that one was probably next. And then, funnily enough, everybody knows what my favourite one's going to be anyway. But I say most surprised was Filch, and that's, in honesty, probably why I saved it till last, because if I'm being dead honest, I wasn't particularly fussed, and it was, again, nothing to do with the characters, because all of the characters I don't really know. So it wasn't because I didn't like the character, it wasn't because I didn't like I now know, obviously, that she's in Cyberverse, etc., or whatever it was. But yeah, it was nothing to do with that. It was just another use of you know, the Air Razor mold and the Beast modes and the Beast figures, they're not my favourites. I openly admit that. They're not the favourites. But with this, and with the fact that it looks much more robotic, the purple schemes just seem to really work. These additional parts where you can take the wings off and put them on the forearms is what's done it for me. It's just made that look sensational. I really am completely stunned by this. So, you know, as I say, if we're doing like a top, we're going to the top ones, and it's definite joint. All these three I think are perhaps about the same, but this one was the biggest surprise at how good she is with regards to everything. As I say, head sculpt, colours, wings, etc. And maybe I like it a bit more because it's a bit more robotic rather than an actual, you know, a bird, or, you know, I was going to say a flesh covered real beast. So a robotic bird, it looks like I'm more okay with, and I think she does, and she does look stunning. Moving on to this one, and most people will be a bit surprised with this. These particular figures, although, as I say, I've got pretty much all of them here, and I know that they are splitting fandoms because I know people want Rock Lords that turns into rocks, but it's quite interesting having one that turns into a car. And yes, this is the third use of this mold already, but the head sculpt is amazing. The head sculpt with the red on the inside, this blue colour scheme just works fantastic. And I think, as I say, it took this particular mold to a whole different level. I can't tell you how much more I prefer this than that. It's on completely different levels. This figure's clever, this figure's also clever. They're the same figures, but the way that this one looks, in my opinion, it's just so much better. The white version, obviously, which funny enough the legs have come off at the moment, again is another use of the mold. But yeah, this one for me, mainly just down to aesthetics. I think the colour looks amazing, and that's pretty much why I'm thinking of that. But anybody who saw my Farak video, I got a few comments saying, like, basically, oh, you've just gone and made me buy Farak. Like, they had no intention of buying this particular figure either, because again, like me, didn't know the character, didn't know anything about it, but because I gave it such a glowing review, and I really do think that you've gone and taken one of my favourite childhood, like, I just looked at it, the Cyclonus first and foremost, and of course it is the Cyclonus mold, but it's better. These things on the side, the head sculpt is sensational. As I said, I don't know how they've managed to do it, but they have. They've gone and taken the Cyclonus mold and just made it even better. This color scheme just works, and you know, maybe they will, I think they probably will use this mold again when we get Studio Series 86. It'll be interesting to see what they do with that. And of course, we've already got the Metal Hawk repaint coming soon, so it really is a great mold, and for me it was my favorite out of all of the Star Raiders. But as I say, overall, really liked the entire set. Really surprised by some of them, really impressed with, again, I suppose, how the designers can take something just, you know, that we've already got as a figure, it's already established, and then just do something, I don't know, small or seems minuscule, to basically make it a completely new character, change something like the head, change the color scheme or whatever, and then just give us a complete set of new figures. And yeah, brilliant. I just wanted to put this in a separate little video, and I suppose get that across, that if you were thinking about getting these, because they're starting to show up absolutely everywhere now, that they are very good. So there you go, guys. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. Have you got a favorite? Have you collected these? Let me know. Take care.